Hi guys, Chris here again. We're playing some more World at War. This time we're playing Team Deathmatch, and we're playing on battery. As I said, if you'd watched my previous war video, Team Deathmatch on the PC tends to be about the only guaranteed game type that you can get. So anyway, we decided to have a go on this, to be honest. After picking it back up, I thought I'd switch out my weapon a little bit for this particular map. Because I normally use a Type 100, I find it really effective, but this time we've gone with the Thompson. I just reviewed my last video, the war video, and I noticed I'd mentioned a couple of games and things like that, so I thought I might give you a little bit of history of what I've and how I got into gaming, and what systems I've had in the past. So basically, I started in about '79 when my mum and dad bought me a Binatone system, which you can look up. Basically, it was this black and orange plastic thing that came with two twisty paddles and I had the, well, it's not really a light gun. I don't know how the system works, but it was basically black and white on your TV, just connected via an RF cable. RF aerial cable to the back of your TV, and played games a bit like Pong, squash and tennis and football, but they were all basically the same type of game. And as I say, they had this light gun thing where you could shoot a square pixel, and it was the size of your house. Then what did we move on to? Basically from there I moved on to the Atari 2600. And enjoyed that stuff, like, you know, Pac-Man and Pitfall and games of that ilk, and that basically took me up to about the mid-80s really, and then I moved on to we had a NES for a short period of time. I think we had a NES, but I know I had the Sega Master System. Around about that same time we got a computer. My stepbrother got a Commodore 64. And we got the infamous Spectrum. We got the rubber keyed one. It's not the 128K. What was it? The Spectrum Plus? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, we got the Sinclair Spectrum. What was the game we used to play all the time on that? There was Jetpack. That's a classic. Everybody loves Jetpack. There was Jetpack and Jet Set Willy. I don't think it was Manic Miner. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, there's all the old titles. We had the Spectrum, and then about after that, I think it was the Master System and the NES. And I had those for quite a few years. I remember playing R-Type heavily on the old Master System. A friend of mine used to come round, and we used to bunk off college and play R-Type, because we had it in what was called Block 10 at college. We had the R-Type arcade machine, so we used to bunk off and play it on the Master System. And then we moved on to I moved on to the Mega Drive, and I had a Super Nintendo, or as the Americans call it, Super Famicom. I had one of those, and enjoyed plenty of games on those. Sonic the Hedgehog, plenty of sports sims, particularly on the Mega Drive. I think the best game I ever played on the SNES was probably Zelda. Link's Awakening, I think it was. Or was it Link to the Past? Link to the Past, that was the one. Which is ironic really. It just goes to show you how powerful smartphones are these days. I have it emulated on my Samsung Galaxy S2. That's ridiculous, isn't it? I had a whole console for that back in the day. Anyway, well, plenty of fun had there with the SNES. After that we did we got the PSX, or the PlayStation 1. And a lot of fun to be had with that. And around about that same time, a friend of mine got quite a low powerful PC. I think he got a 386 SX, and that's our first basic introduction into Doom. We used to play it with no sound, keyboard only, in a little shreddy, and it was just the best fun you could possibly have. Around about that same time, we also got a 3DO. I say we because a friend of mine, we used to be really close, and basically to maximise our fun we used to buy opposite consoles. So he got the 3DO, the Panasonic 3DO, and I got the Atari Jaguar. Mainly because of the fun we'd had with Doom on the PC, on this old 386. So we got that, and another really good game. I think it was Alien Trilogy. If you look back at it now, it was really quite. I suppose it's limp now. You know, the AI was a bit stupid. All used to line up into a row, but at the time it was epic. I remember us finishing it as all 3 classes. That's how much we enjoyed that. So what else do we do? Basically from the Jaguar, I moved on to the Dreamcast. No, I didn't. I'm telling fibs. I moved on to the Sega Saturn, and the N64. And basically all you needed on that was Super Mario World on the N64 and GoldenEye, and that was it as far as I was concerned. They peaked right about there. The Saturn, I got it mainly for Virtual Cop with the old light guns, and then I got the Sega Saturn, and that again was for the light gun games. I was heavily into light gun games in the arcade at that particular time, so I got it for that. I got the old steering wheel and tried playing Ferrari 355 Challenge or whatever it was called, and it was a great game. It just didn't really work on the wheel that they had. There was no pedals. Did have analog controllers, but it was all a bit messy, to be honest. But the light gun stuff, that was pretty good. Virtual Cop 2 was pretty good. What was the other one? What was that? The zombie one. I can never remember. Why can I never remember when I'm doing commentaries? My commentaries are basically like live commentaries. I don't stop talking. I don't edit them at all. So if there's a bit of and ah and buts and bips and stuff like that, well, that's just the way I record. So I'm sorry about that. I've lost my train of thought. I know I was talking about the Saturn, and I can't remember what that damn game was called. Anyway, so we'll move on. So basically, from the Saturn, that's basically when I moved on to onto PCs, and pretty much solely PCs. I have bought consoles just for the retro factor since then, but I've been PC ever since, to be honest. I know my mates, he's had them all, you know, the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 2, I never owned one, and the PS3, never owned it. I'd probably buy it as a Blu-ray player, simply because it's got a Blu-ray player on it, but I probably wouldn't go back to console gaming. I have tried. I'm sure if I practice I could use the analog sticks and everything, but I don't know. First person shooters for me should be mouse and keyboard. That's just my thoughts on it, to be honest. But there's some epic gamers out there who can use console controllers. My hat's off to them, because all I do is look at the floor, the sky, and anywhere but the guy I'm meant to be shooting, to be honest. So yeah, pretty much PC exclusive since about, I'm looking at the loft roof, about 96, 97, around about Quake, really. When Quake came out, I got my first computer. It was a Pentium 200, and it had 32 meg of RAM. I know, 30 to hold a whole 32 meg of EDR RAM. It had 2 meg on board on its graphics card, and it was just epic fun. I had that for a good while, and then I had to hold off on PC gaming for a couple of years because I went back to uni, and then I think by the middle of the first year at uni I decided I definitely needed a computer. I build all my own computers now. I fix other people's computers. You know, you pick up you do pick up knowledge as you go. But my first computer was an absolute fortune. I bought it from PC World, and I had to buy it on credit because I was at uni, so I was paying like 30% APR, and it just cost an absolute arm and a leg. But I had it a good while. I think I've still got the case knocking around, and probably a couple of parts knocking around still. I don't know what it is with PC parts, but I kind of have this feeling that if they're still working, and I might be able to make something out of it, and I just can't seem to throw bits away. I don't know. I'm not a hoarder, but when it comes to PC parts, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I don't know. I keep saying to myself, I'm keeping them. I keep saying to the wife, I'm keeping them because I'm going to make a Windows 98 machine, you know, classic games like NHL 98 and things like that. But you know, the likelihood of me ever getting around to that is slim to zero. So yeah, I bought this computer and it probably cost me about 1,300 quid. It was a P3, a Pentium P3 450, and it had one of the last Voodoo cards. If you're into PC gaming, you'll know what they are. The Voodoo 3000 PCI. Voodoo 3000, and I just thought it was the nuts, to be honest, absolute nuts. And then I moved on, I upgraded, basically got, I moved off, about that particular point I moved from Intel, to be honest, and I moved on to AMD, and I had the AMD XP2100, I think it was called, and that served me really well. And I think that computer is actually still running. I think it's at my father-in-law's, to be honest. I think that computer is still running with a couple of bits tweaked out and a network card added for broadband and all the rest of it, but you know, I think it's still going. And I think I moved on to the 64-bit processor, and I moved on to the AMD 3500 64, and that served me extremely well. Just a couple of graphic card upgrades during its lifetime. That's still going. That's sat actually next to me, pretending to be a server. It's not connected to anything, but I can't justify getting rid of it. I think they've still got an ATI 1950 Pro in it, X1950 Pro in it. Not a bad little graphics card. So I had that all the way up to playing Left 4 Dead, and I played a whole year of Left 4 Dead with that 3500. Struggled through at about 25 frames per second, and then decided it was time for the big move. And I think initially I upgraded the graphics card in a stupid, cheapish attempt to increase performance. I've always been an Nvidia boy, to be honest. So I had moved on to the I think it was the GT, because I'd had a couple of Nvidia GT 6800s. I did have them in SLI form on an MSI board, running on that 3500, so that's why it basically served me for so long. And then I moved on and got a GT 9800, or the 9800 GT, and that served me for a little bit longer. And then it was time for the big push, really, and I went for the quad core, and I stayed with AMD, and I got the Black Edition. I think it was the 955 Black Edition at the time, and I got an ATI 5800, and that's basically the machine I'm running on now, and it's serving me extremely well. There's nothing I can't play apart from older titles. So yeah, that's pretty much my gaming hardware. I've noticed there's only a few minutes left in this game, so I thought I was going to talk about a few of my favourite games, but yeah, go on then, I will do, because to be honest, I haven't played that many. I've played a lot of games, but I tend to stick with them. I'm not saying I'm cheap, but I like to get value for money. I played Modern Warfare 2 according to Steam for 900 hours, but I think in-game it's about 27 days or something like that. But I think my all-time record probably goes to Battlefield 1942. A brilliant game. Saddened when really it stopped getting played, and I know that there are still servers available and people still play it, but not the same way. And I know that I played that for a total of about 7 years, and at one point it was the only game installed on my system, and I loved it. Battlefield 1942 objective, it was stunning. I got all the expansion packs and things, and it took on a new lease of life for free with Desert Combat, and that is probably one of the greatest mods to ever be released for a game, in my opinion. Absolutely stunning. I know that they got bought out eventually by EA, the team that made that, but the actual mod itself was great. I also enjoyed Battlefield Vietnam, but not quite to the same extent. But the irony was there was a mod that came out for that, which was the World War II mod, which was basically all the World War II maps from Battlefield 1942 converted to Vietnam, so there was extra grass and extra textures and things like that. and to be honest, that it made Vietnam for me. Probably the best map for objective and, you know, big game action and feeling like you're in a war. Probably the Philippines, Battle of the Philippines. Anyway, that's a little bit of my history of gaming. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Stay safe. Enjoy your gaming. Bye bye.